The Philadelphia Eagles started their season off right with a win versus the Patriots, but the way that they did it left a lot of people a little bit unsettled, as the Eagles definitely did not play up to their potential in Week 1, as they made a countless number of mistakes, and there's a lot they're going to have to clean up during this quick turnaround before they play the Vikings on Thursday night. And not only do they have to worry about fixing those things, but they also have several injuries to major contributors that they now have to deal with as well. So what are the latest updates on those guys? However, it's not all bad news for the Eagles, as of course they did get the win, and there were a few players who really shined during the game. So we're going to talk about all that in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So of course, in Week 1, the Eagles beat the Patriots by a score of 25-20, but it was less than an ideal performance by Philly, as they really struggled in multiple facets of the game, which we'll get to in just a minute. But the first thing that I gotta talk about is the injuries that they sustained, as several key guys went down during this contest, with the most significant injury being to starting linebacker Nakobe Dean, who suffered a foot injury and had to be helped off the field into the locker room, and he did not return to the game. And it's now being reported that Dean is expected to miss multiple weeks or around a month with the injury. And while this is certainly bad news, it's not all terrible, as he was able to avoid having surgery, and the injury reportedly isn't too serious, so Nick Sirianni expressed gratitude for that while giving an update on Dean's injury and what the plan could now be at linebacker, with Dean set to miss time.
We're expecting him to be out for a couple weeks. Just thankful that it's not longer than that. Because obviously these things could be worse, and just thankful that it's not a season-ending injury. We feel like we have some good options there at linebacker. Obviously don't have to make any of those decisions quite yet of what we need to do. Obviously there's a competitive advantage of not saying anything about that, Rube, at this particular time, but we feel like we have some good options to go to.
So Sirianni said it there. Obviously it's good to hear that it's not going to be a long-term injury, but it still just stinks that Dean has to miss time this early into his first real season, meaning that this is the first year that he has a big role in the defense, and this injury definitely throws a wrench into things in terms of him getting into a rhythm or off to a hot start, but hopefully Nakobe Dean is able to return better than ever. But now the Eagles are going to have to turn elsewhere at linebacker for a bit, and I think a subsequent move that we may see very soon as a result of this, and Sirianni alluded to it there, is that they may call up Nicholas Morrow from the practice squad so they can have 3 linebackers on the active roster, and Sirianni was actually later asked about Morrow and his confidence in him should they have to turn to him in Dean's absence.
Yeah, really confident in him. That's why he's on our 69-man roster. It's because we believe in him. We believe in the things that he can do. We believe in his style of play, his physicality, being able to line up the defense. A lot of confidence in Nick, and if he has to go in that role, we're excited. I'm excited to watch him roll and for his opportunity.
So right now, everything's really pointing to the scenario that Morrow gets called up from the practice squad, especially after the Eagles just went out and added another linebacker to the practice squad in former Titans first-round pick who most recently played for the Falcons, Rashaan Evans. And this is a signing that I really like because this is a guy who certainly has ability, especially in terms of his run defense, and I mean, he's had a solid career, and just in his last season with the Falcons, he put up 159 combined tackles and 2 sacks. I mean, this dude can definitely produce when given the chance. The problem has been his pass coverage ability, which seems to be a theme among the Eagles linebackers that they already had anyway. Don't worry, we're going to talk about that in just a minute because that was a big problem on Sunday. So I guess we're adding another guy who's very similar, that he can defend the run, but against the pass, he's not exactly the greatest. But overall, as a practice squad addition, I do think that this is a very good move. But what are your thoughts? What do you think of the Rashaan Evans signing? Now to go over a couple other injuries that the Eagles sustained versus the Patriots, Fletcher Cox for one went down with some sort of injury, it seems, as he exited the game in the 4th quarter and didn't return. He was then seen after the game walking slowly. Now the good news is it's being reported that he should be okay, but the bad news is in terms of being ready for Thursday's game, he only has a short amount of time to get healthy, and he's still a very important piece of this Eagles defense, and he was a big reason why the Eagles won the game on Sunday. He made a couple big plays late, so despite Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis playing so well, which we're going to get to that in a minute as well, not having Fletch on Thursday would still definitely hurt. Now someone else that seems like the Eagles won't have on Thursday is all-pro cornerback James Bradberry, as he went down in the Patriots game in the 4th quarter after taking a big hit, and he checked out and did not return. And since then, he's been officially checked into concussion protocol, so assuming he's not ready for Thursday, the Eagles will be heavily relying on second-year undrafted cornerback Josh Jobe, who checked in for Bradberry on Sunday, and he played pretty well, all things considered, including forcing Pats wide receiver Kayshon Boutte out of bounds, causing an incompletion on 4th down, which effectively ended the game. And it sounds like head coach Nick Sirianni has a lot of confidence in Jobe should he be tasked with starting on Thursday.
We got a lot of confidence in Josh. That's why he's made our roster the last 2 years. I think he's a really physical corner who is long, strong, is able to just, when he gets his hands on you, he's able to control you. And Josh has just done a great job of getting himself ready to go as well. And so, you know, you get really excited about that when an undrafted free agent comes in and performs like Josh has, both on special teams and gives you the confidence that you have in him on defense.
The Vikings are certainly going to go after Jobe if he does start, so hopefully he's able to hold up in that scenario. And then to cap this off, the Eagles are dealing with a couple other minor injuries, one being safety Reed Blankenship, who has a minor rib injury which he suffered on Sunday, but he did remain in the game, so it looks like he'll be okay. He's going to be ready for Thursday and he shouldn't miss any time. And then same thing goes for running back Kenneth Gainwell, who's also dealing with a minor rib injury that he suffered back on Sunday, but again, he didn't come out of the game either, and it looks like this injury should not affect his status for Thursday night. But now going back to the Eagles' win over the Patriots on Sunday, yes, obviously there were a lot of negatives, including the injuries, but there also were plenty of positives, so let's start with those. So first, let's not forget that the Birds won. They beat the Patriots on Sunday and advanced to 1-0. I mean, with all the negativity in Philadelphia on Monday, you would think that they lost the game, but I guess that's what happens when you have sky-high expectations like the Eagles do. So I guess that is fair, but still, regardless, they got the win, they're 1-0, and they also got to experience some adversity and overcome it, which is something that Nick Sirianni believes is very important, and something that he emphasized in his locker room victory speech.
Hey, guys, the first half couldn't have ended any here for us, right? We had to face some adversity, right? We got a hot start, right? Then they came back and they were rolling, right? But what we did in the second half to get that lead, right? We showed ourselves that we could overcome adversity, and then it still got harder, right? But we overcame adversity. It's fucking hard to win in this league. When it ain't going the way that we want it to go on offense, I have full trust that it will, and we'll get it going. But when it's not, and we can kick field goals from where we kick, Jake, great fucking job. Yeah. Great job.
So that's at least a positive takeaway from this game, that the Eagles were able to handle adversity and come through on the other side unscathed with the win. And something else that Sirianni mentioned there was Jake Elliott and his performance on Sunday. I mean, Elliott was just phenomenal, making all 4 of his field goal attempts, most of them being pretty long ones. I mean, multiple of those attempts were over 50 yards, and one of them was a 56-yarder that he just absolutely drilled. So with the offense struggling and stalling out the way it was definitely huge to have Jake Elliott playing the way that he played, especially in those tough weather conditions. And I think that there's no doubt that Jake Elliott is one of the best kickers in this league, and it's time he starts getting the recognition he deserves. And for this game specifically, if I was handing out game balls, Jake Elliott would definitely get one, and in my opinion, he might have even been the player of the game. I mean, without him, there's no shot the Eagles win. Now, some other guys who deserve recognition for their performances on Sunday, like Elliott, are along the defensive line, starting with the rookie Jalen Carter, who was an absolute monster on Sunday, as he had just about as impressive as a debut as he possibly could have. I mean, the kid had 8 pressures, which was tied for the most in the league in week 1, 7 quarterback hurries, again the most in the league, and of course a sack, which came at a crucial moment in the 4th quarter on 2nd down, which helped contribute to the Eagles getting the win. And Jalen Carter was also the highest graded Eagle from Sunday's win, so overall, Carter was just amazing. I mean, he was dominant, and he easily lived up to the hype from training camp and the preseason, and now he's just got to sustain it throughout the rest of the season, and I have full confidence that he can do that. And someone else who will look to have sustained success this year is Carter's fellow Georgia defensive tackle Jordan Davis, who easily just had his best game as an Eagle, as not only did he get his first sack, or technically half a sack, but he also had a forced fumble, which led to the Eagles getting a short field and then scoring a touchdown, in which DeVonta Smith had an incredible catch off an amazing throw by Jalen Hurts, and then Smitty celebrated becoming a father on Saturday by cradling the football like a baby, so huge congrats to DeVonta. But getting back to Davis, he was just amazing in this game. I mean, he really lived up to the hype from the offseason as well as Carter did, and he just has to sustain it. And a huge part of JD's success on Sunday was his dominant run-stuffing ability, which really contributed to the Eagles' overall run defense being really good. I mean, honestly, that was probably the best part of the Eagles' defense on Sunday. And then offensively, obviously the 2 playmakers on the outside in Smitty and AJ looked good, and then I also think that Kenneth Gainwell looked solid in the opportunities that he got. I mean, he was clearly the team's lead back on Sunday, and he definitely did a bit of everything. And although no, he wasn't spectacular, he gave me more confidence that if the Eagles want to continue to use him heavily in this offense throughout the season, he can have success doing that. Although, I'm not sure I quite agree with the role that they ended up using him in, which was more of a feature back role when I expected a running back by committee system, and we're going to get to that in just a minute here. Speaking of which, we got to get to the bad, and there was quite a lot of that versus the Patriots, but real quick before we do that, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Around 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you're one of those people, you've been consistently watching these videos, you're enjoying them, and you love the Philadelphia Eagles, make sure you fix that right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss when any other future videos are uploaded. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. Now, with that being said, let's get back into the video. So starting on offense, I really wasn't a fan of the play calling. I mean, it seemed boring, uncreative, and predictable. There were a couple plays that I can remember calling out the play before it even happened, so if I could see it coming, don't you think that Bill Belichick, one of the greatest defensive-minded head coaches of all time, and the Patriots defense, which is one of the better defenses in the NFL, saw it coming too? I'm sure that they did. Plus, I also didn't like the fact that it seemed like the Eagles didn't really use the RPO as much or as effectively as they have in the past, and that's obviously something that has really worked well for the Eagles in previous years, and something that I talked about in my preview video, so it really did surprise me when they didn't use it as heavily as I thought that they would. And just overall, the offense had a really tough time on Sunday. They never really got the run game going fully, I didn't think. They didn't really have any explosive plays, and probably the thing that stuck out to me the most is that two of their most explosive playmakers on the offensive side of the ball weren't really utilized at all in this game. One of those guys being star tight end Dallas Goedert, who had just one target on 66 snaps on Sunday and 0 catches. And this is really weird to me because it's not like Goedert didn't have plays where he was open. He had multiple where he was wide open and could have had some big gains, but he just never saw the ball, which a lot of that, to be fair, is on Jalen Hurts. But it also just seemed like the Eagles coaching staff didn't really make a huge effort to get Goedert the ball with short throws and easy touches, and I feel like that's something that they'll do next week early because of the fact that he had no catches this week, and I'm sure that they're going to want to get him more involved next week. I mean, we saw this exact scenario play out last season with DeVonta Smith, who didn't have any catches versus Detroit in the opener, but then in the Vikings game the very next week, the Eagles gave him the ball early, and he went on to have a great season from there. So overall, in the long run, I'm not worried about Goedert not having a catch in the opener, but still, it was a little bit weird. And something else that I thought was weird was the lack of usage that running back DeAndre Swift saw, as he had just 2 touches all day with only 1 carry and 1 catch, and he was only out there on the field on 29% of the snaps. Now, I thought, judging by the reports, that Swift was going to be a big part of the offense, and this was going to be more of a running back by committee system, so for him to be used this little in the opener was weird, and something Nick Sirianni knows just cannot happen.
I don't ever want to come out of a game where DeAndre Swift has only 2 touches either.
Now, overall, it's just one game, and again, I do expect new offensive coordinator Brian Johnson to be better at utilizing Swift and Goedert and calling better plays and being more creative in the future, because this was just the beginning. This is week 1 of his play calling for the Philadelphia Eagles, so he's got a lot of work to do and a lot of room to grow, and I expect him to fix some of these things. So even though I really didn't like his play calling in the first game, I'm still cutting him some slack because his debut was against one of the best defensive minds the game has ever seen, when that same guy also had an entire offseason to prepare for him and the Birds offense, so it definitely was not an easy task at all. And I also think that Russ did play a big role in the offense struggling because none of the starters played at all in the preseason, and it's really hard to just go out there after not having any game reps since February of last year for some of these guys in the Super Bowl and then just play at your best right away. So again, I think that played a big role in it, and I don't think it's fair to say that Brian Johnson's going to be bad or anything after just one subpar day, but still, he's going to have to be better moving forward. And now switching over to the defensive coordinator, I honestly think that Sean Desai is getting a little bit of unwarranted hate after his performance in his debut, because even though the Eagles defense definitely had their moments where they struggled, they also had some great moments, as they created a couple turnovers and they also scored some points, and to add on to that, they had 3 key stops in the 4th quarter and they got some big sacks in those moments. Plus, there were some people that I heard say that they didn't think the Eagles were able to generate a lot of pressure. I respectfully disagree. I honestly think that the Eagles were able to do a really good job pressuring Mac Jones all day, whether that be by rushing 4 or also occasionally throwing in a few blitzes. I think that the real issue was that the Patriots game planned to get the ball out of Mac Jones' hands really fast, and that's exactly what happened, and he did a really good job of that, and it limited the effectiveness of the Eagles' pass rush despite them getting consistent pressure, especially because the back end of the defense just wasn't holding up, a lot of which I do really think has to do with the Eagles sitting back in soft coverages, similar to what we saw from Gannon, which I do not like at all, but also personnel-wise, the Eagles linebackers just couldn't cover anything. The middle of the field was wide open all day long. The Patriots tight ends were really effective in this game. Hunter Henry in particular had a really good day, and then Justin Evans apparently won the Eagles starting safety battle, and I didn't think he was very good in this game, to be honest. I honestly just don't see what makes Justin Evans so special to the point where he was able to win this starting job over the other guys that the Eagles have, and I honestly think with the way that he played on Sunday, the Eagles coaching staff should definitely consider making a switch, I think to Sidney Brown. He made some good plays on special teams on Sunday. He's got a lot of ability. He definitely has more ability than Justin Evans and Terrell Edmunds. So if I were Nick Sirianni, I would definitely reevaluate and see if that's a change worth making. But yeah, again, I thought the coverages were a little bit too conservative at times, which I didn't like, and honestly, if the Eagles played a little bit more pressed up, maybe a little bit more man coverage, I think you would have seen the defensive line get home a little bit more, because then Mac Jones wouldn't have been able to just throw these little short passes constantly. But still, I'm still willing to give these coordinators the benefit of the doubt. It was just week 1, it was both Desai and Johnson's first game coaching and calling plays, and I expect them to only get better from here. And also, if you'll remember back to last year, the Eagles started the season off a little rocky in Detroit as they allowed 35 points, and they had some people in Philly a little bit worried after that. But that was before coming out the very next week in their home opener versus the Vikings on Monday Night Football and absolutely dominating them on both sides of the ball, so they're going to have a chance this Thursday to do pretty much the same exact thing. And if you don't want to miss any coverage regarding that, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss when any other videos covering that are uploaded. Also, drop a like on this video if you did enjoy it to show some support, and leave a comment down below regarding anything that I talked about in this video. What did you think of the Eagles' Week 1 win over the Patriots? And also, if you want to watch my live reaction to that game, you can go check out this video right here. And now with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.